Before we can do Bakasana or crow pose, it's really important to understand the mechanics of the joints, or basically the joints that are affected in this pose, so that we can properly prepare them, whether that be you doing it here in class with me, or if you are trying it on your own at home or in a class. So we want to make sure that the wrists are well warmed up and are capable of maintaining a pretty deep range of wrist extension and also maintaining that weight, because our whole body weight essentially is going to be on our wrists. So first off, the wrists are in this extended position, right? So I pretty much explained already. We want to be able to support our body weight and maintain that wrist extension. Second is the shoulder blades. The shoulder blades will be in a protracted position. Basically, they're spreading wide on the back. And then the spine is in a flex position. So even though they look like they're two or the same movement, they just oftentimes accompany one another. So in this case, you have the spine flexing, the shoulder blades protracting or spreading. We're really pushing the ground away so we can support our body weight. Then we have the hips. So there's two things going on in the hips. They're flexing, so that's when the thigh bones are drawing closer to the front of the body, and externally rotating, so that's when the thigh bones are rotating outward. It's not as much as some other poses or movements that we do in yoga, but there is some level of external rotation. Then the knee is flexed, so that means that the heel is drawing closer towards the butt and bending at the knee. So now that we know all of that, we're going to prepare the body so that we can try it and explore it. So we're going to start on the back. And when you lie down, I personally like to use my blocks to support my knees, but it's up to you. I would recommend just taking them to the back. You might find that you want to use them. So you're going to lie down with the soles of the feet together and the knees butterflied out wide. You'll take your blocks under your knees or under your thighs if you're choosing to use them, and then place your hands on your belly. Close your eyes. And I call this breath cylindrical breathing. Some people call it like diaphragmic breathing, but really I'm a visual person, I'm a visual learner. And if you are too, you might find this useful. So I want you to visualize that your whole abdominal cavity, basically from just below your ribs, or within your ribs, I guess, underneath, is your diaphragm right at the top. That's the top of the cylinder. Then you have the pelvic floor on the bottom of the cylinder, and the sides of your waist are the sides of the cylinder. So as you inhale, the top and bottom are dropping down. The sides are expanding out. As you exhale, the top and bottom are lifting up, and the sides are drawing back in. Again, inhale, expanding out and down. Exhale, drawing back in and up. Inhale and exhale. And we breathe all the time, right? We don't need to really think about it. But by slowing down and connecting to our breath in this way, we first off can hear our breath. We can feel it and how it interacts with the body. And we can acknowledge and understand how it can calm the mind down, how it can interact with the mind. Even though we don't think about breathing as core exercise or core work, it really is, especially if we're breathing in a way that's expansive and productive. One way to think about it is that the innermost layers of your core on your inhale are contracting or expanding outward. And on the exhale, the outermost layers of your core are contracting inward. And if we remember this, then when we're moving in our practice, we can use our breath to guide us. We can use our breath to help us, to be a tool. Just like meditation is a tool for the mind, the breath is a really great tool that kind of links mind and body. 3 more cycles of breath. Last breath in and breath out. Bring your hands to the outsides of your thighs. Close your knees in like a book. And then you can remove one of your blocks, set it to the side. The other block, place it between your inner thighs, the skinniest setting. Knees are going to be over your hips and your shins are parallel to the ground. You might have heard this being called reverse tabletop. Take your palms to the very fronts of your thighs, your quads, and take a deep breath in first to start. Just make sure you firm enough into the block. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be overkill, but just enough until it's nice and stable. And then on your next exhale, you'll press your hands into your legs. Your legs are pressing back into your hands. And see if you can find an equal amount of resistance to create traction in your spine. So think about traction, or one way I like to think about traction is like you would traction a shower curtain rod, right? So if you press one side into the wall and the other side into the wall with enough pressure, then it will hold. It's stable. And you might notice as you're finding that traction, you feel a little bit more stable in the center of your body. 2 more cycles of breath. And even though you're not actually moving, you'll probably feel this, right? You'll know that you're working. 1 more breath in and breath out. Good. Gently release the strap or the block rather. Set it off to the side. Hug your knees in. Rock a little bit from side to side. So that was a really great warm up for the hip flexors and really to stabilize the whole center of the body or the core. Take your legs up towards the ceiling. And you can keep your hands on your belly or relax them by your side. But we're essentially doing kind of like a squat, but lying down. So take a breath in. On your exhale, draw your knees towards your shoulders like you'd be squatting down and bend at the knees. So we're asking our hips to actively flex without using our arms to pull down. Again, inhale, lengthen back up like you would be standing. Exhale, squat back down. Let's do that a couple more times. Inhale, stand or lengthen. Exhale, draw the knees towards the floor. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Hug your knees to your chest. Rock a little bit from side to side. All right. Lower your feet to the ground. Take your arms out in front of or towards the ceiling. And you're just going to extend the wrists like you're holding 2 trays in your palms. And then flex your wrists. Again, extend the wrists. We're doing this without weight on it. So we're not using leverage to hold our wrists in that extended position. Just notice how much range you have without the floor supporting your hands in that position. Last one, extend the wrists and flex the wrists. Good. Circle the wrists in one direction and then the other direction. Good. Take a full body stretch. Reach your legs long, reach your arms overhead, find a big sigh, find a big yawn. All right. Last little bit of work here on the back. So hands come to the front of your pelvis. Then from here, I want you to imagine, visualize that your tailbone is a paintbrush. And you'll be painting along your yoga mat like it's a canvas. Another way to think of it is like a cat-cow. So on your inhale, you're going to paint behind you or stick your butt out behind you like a cow pose. Notice how your lower back arches off the floor. Then on your exhale, you'll do the opposite. Round your lower back into the floor like you're painting towards the front of your mat. Again, inhale, arch your back. Exhale, round your back. Good. Take a couple more. And just notice where you feel that sense of contraction when you move. So when you arch your back, you'll probably notice your back muscles working. When you round your back, you'll probably notice your belly muscles working. Take one more arch, round, arch your back like cow pose, round your lower back like cat pose. Good. Go ahead and just lengthen your legs along the floor, hands on your belly, and you might notice that the lower back muscles feel a little bit more relaxed because we essentially got our muscles to work when we wanted them to work, but then they can clock out when they're done. So we taught the distinction between when our back muscles are working and when our belly muscles are working. So from lying down, you can either rock up and down the length of your spine and then come up to seated, or roll to one side and press up. So go ahead and make your way to a seated position. And we're going to, since a lot of the work is in the legs, you want to support the upper body by using a lot of the legs. So we're going to start with that. So go ahead and lengthen your right leg out in front of you and hold on to your left shin bone. Inhale, find your cow pose. So it's like you're painting your tailbone behind you, arching the upper spine. Exhale, cat pose, rounding your upper spine, curling your chin to your chest. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, arching your back. Exhale, rounding your back. Inhale, arching. Exhale, rounding. Come back to neutral in the spine. You can always start with a little bend in your right leg. Take a big breath in. Exhale, see if you can lift your right leg off the floor. So we've done a lot of hip flexor work on the back with the knees bent. Now we're doing it the leg straight. So see if you can circle the right leg in one direction, working those hip flexor muscles, circle in the other direction. And then release. Now we're going to challenge ourselves here. So I'll give you a couple options. I guess the only criteria is that I want you to try to move around without putting your hands on the floor. So it's like the floor has lava, you don't want to touch it with your hands. So bring your hands to your chest, and I want you to find a way to get off of your butt. So you can cross the ankles, come onto your knees this way. You can swing your legs to one side and come up, or you can plant your feet to the floor, which I find is the hardest, and get off of your butt this way. Then you'll kneel onto the floor, having a seat on your heels. Take a big breath in. Exhale, you'll sit your butt to the left, turn to face the right, and the soles of the feet will be facing one another. Take a big breath in. Exhale, turn to the back of your yoga mat. Again, trying not to use your hands, and have a seat on your heels. Take a breath in. Exhale, turn to your left. Have a seat and turn to face the back or away from me. Soles of the feet will be together. Finally, you'll turn to face the front of the room. See how this goes with all my cords, my mic cords, and sit on your butt. Made it work. All right. Then from here, again, you're going to get all the way down to your seat with the legs out in front of you. So find your own way there. Again, you can do anything as long as you don't touch your hands to the ground. All right, so once you find your way down to your seat, let's switch sides. So left leg goes long, hug around your right shin bone. Inhale, lift up through your chest. Exhale, round your spine, lean back. Inhale, arch your back. Exhale, round your spine. One more inhale. And exhale. Good. Sit up nice and tall. Take a breath in. Start with a little bend in your left leg. Exhale, lift your left leg off the floor. Take a big breath in. Exhale, circle your leg in one direction. Again, you can always start with the knee bent and then take those circles in the other direction. And then release. It's a lot of work. So go ahead and get off of your butt. Again, try not to use your hands any way you want to get there. Good. Take a breath in. Exhale, you'll sit to your right, turn to face your left, so you'll be facing away from me again. Take a big breath in. Exhale, turn to the back of the room, have a seat on your heels. Take a big breath in. Exhale, sit to your right, turn and face towards your left. Soles of the feet together. Take one more breath in. Exhale, turn to the front of the room. sit on your heels. Breath in. Exhale, sit all the way down to your butt. Legs go nice and long. All right, take a big breath in here and a breath out. Good. So we warmed up through the lower half of the body. Probably notice a little bit of activation in your core. Let's see if we can put that work to use. Grab your 2 blocks. Take them in front of you. Always a good idea to start a little lower. You can make it harder as you go. So basically, what we did before, we're going to add on. So hands to your chest as much as possible. We want to minimize the lean backwards, and we want to keep our hands from the floor. Take a breath in. Exhale, right leg goes over the block. Breath in. Right leg comes back to the center. Breath in. Exhale, over to the left. Inhale. Notice on the exertion, that's when we bring the leg back in, or that's when we lift it because we're drawing everything back towards the center. Let's do that 2 more times. If you would like to, you can bring your blocks up a little bit higher, make it more challenging. Inhale here. Exhale, right leg over the block. See if you can maybe bend the knees, especially if you're starting to lean back. Breath in. Exhale, bring it back to the center. Inhale. Exhale to the left. Inhale. Exhale, back to center. Good. If you want to bring it all the way up, you can. For me, I'm going to stay right here. Take a breath in. Exhale, bring it over to the right. Breath in. Exhale, bring it back to the center. Last time on the left side. Inhale. Exhale, left leg over. Inhale. Exhale, bring it back to the center. Good. Let it go. You can fold forward. You can take your hands to the blocks or grab your feet. Really doesn't matter, but just allow your spine to round and to actually get that stretch in your back that oftentimes in yoga, especially in yoga classes, we always say, oh, nice long spine, but it feels really good to just allow the back to round in this instance, right? Especially after doing all that work, you get that release. All right, so slowly come all the way up. Just set your blocks to the top of your mat. I like level 2, but you can choose to bring it level 1, but you can choose to bring it to level 2 if you want a little extra height off the ground. So go ahead and come into your tabletop position. So push down with your hands like you're trying to push the blocks into the floor. Tuck your toes under and come into downward facing dog. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. Good. Lift your right leg up towards the ceiling. Notice with my hands on the blocks, it puts less pressure on my shoulders, on my wrist for right now. Then from here, bend your right knee and circle the hip in one direction. Big circles. And then take those circles in the other direction. Good. And then look forward. Inhale. Exhale, step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. So you're in a runner's lunge. Lower your back knee to the floor. If it feels a little bit like too much pressure on your back knee, you can either fold the left side of your mat in half and put your knee on that folded portion, or you can grab a blanket. Once you find a position for your back knee that feels comfortable for you, you can slide the block in underneath your left hand so it's a bit more underneath your shoulder and reach your right arm up to the ceiling. Circle the right wrist in one direction and then take those circles in the other direction. Good. So you can stay here or you can reach your right hand back. Maybe this is plenty, or you can kick your left heel towards your butt and maybe you grab the foot. Take a big inhale. Exhale, gently release the foot if you have it. Take both hands down. Good. So I like to bring my blocks a little bit higher here. It's totally up to you. Take an inhale, lift off your back knee and look forward. Exhale, step both feet to the top. You're in your malasana, your garland pose. You can sit your butt down and without extra support, or if you want, you can stack maybe 1 or 2 blocks underneath. If the heels are lifting as you lower down, you have 2 options that you can try. You can either bring the feet wider or you can take your seat up higher. So maybe that means that in your malasana, you're sitting quite a bit higher up than what you might have seen in other classes or other students. But hey, you're working with your body, so do what you need to do. Pause as you're here, hands either to your chest, or if you want, you can take your hands to your belly. But I want you to think about that cylindrical breathing. So inhale, feeling everything drawing out and down. Exhale, feeling everything drawing in and up. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. And exhale. Good. If you're sitting on a block, just move it off to the side. Come into your forward fold. So heel toe your feet a little bit closer, about hips width distance apart. Bend your knees and let your head hang. Good. Inhale, bend your knees. Slowly roll all the way up to standing. Good. As you roll up, I'm going to show you the profile from behind so you can see what's happening with my shoulder blades. I want you to lift your shoulders up towards your ears. This is called elevation of the shoulders. Then drop your shoulders down. That's depression, so shoulders away from the ears. Then draw your shoulder blades behind you. That's retraction. And shoulder blades in front of you. That's protraction. So with that shoulder blades in front, just feel what it's like on the sides of your arms and your back and the engagements involved, because this is what we're going to be working with as we're in our Bakasana or crow pose. So let's do that a couple more times. Squeezing shoulder blades together, drawing shoulder blades forward. Coming back to center, shoulders up, shoulders down. Now let's put that all together in a circular motion. So up, back, down, and forward. Up, back, down, and forward. And see if you can smooth it out, just getting the sense of movement of your shoulder blades and how they're not fixed on your spine, or rather on the back of your rib cage in one place. Instead, they glide and they move. Take those circles in the other direction. So back, up, forward, and down. Back, up, forward, and down. Take two more. Back, up, forward, and down. Back, up, forward, and down. Good. Inhale, reach your arms up towards the ceiling. And just notice when you reach your arms up, how the ribs may want to flare forward. Instead, try to maintain that length in your back, even if that means your arms are not all the way overhead. Maybe they're a little bit in front of you. Take a big inhale. Exhale, bend the knees and fold all the way down. Lift halfway as you inhale. So fingertips to your shins, reach long through the top of the head. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands onto your blocks, and step your feet back. Knees lowered down. And before we go into full plank and try this, we're going to try it on the forearms. And I find that it allows you to find a little bit more control. So your forearms will be on the blocks, about shoulder width distance apart. We did this standing, but now we're going to try doing it with a little bit more weight on the arms, on the upper body. So first, shoulders back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Then shoulders forward or spreading wide. Again, just shoulders back and shoulders forward. Good. And these are the two that we're going to be working with right now. So just get the hang of that. The differentiation between when the shoulders are behind you and when the shoulder blades are spread wide. It's very different from a cat-cow. So notice my head is not moving. I'm not looking up and down. My head stays in the same position. It's almost as if though my head is kind of dropping up and down or kind of floating up and down with the movement of my shoulder blades. My back stays relatively neutral, right? There might be a little bit of arch in the lower back, but it's not nearly as much as a normal cat-cow. All right, you might notice you're getting a little tired, which is good, which is what we want. So go ahead and move your blocks to any height that worked with you for your down dog last time. So palms can be flat on level 1 with those blocks or level 2, your choice. Push down with the hands, tuck the toes under, and lift your hips up. Again, with my hands on my blocks, it makes it easier to step through, but also it doesn't put as much pressure on the wrists. We're still warming up the body. Press your right foot down, left leg up, bend your knee, and open your knee and hip towards the left side of the room. Circle your hip in one direction, and then take those hip circles in the other direction. Good, look forward, breath in. Exhale, step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. Back knee lowers down. Again, if you need some cushion, grab a towel or a blanket. You can fold the side of your mat in half. Then slide the block underneath your right hand a little bit closer in so it's underneath the shoulder. Reach your left arm up to the ceiling. Circle the left wrist in one direction, and then circle the wrist in the other direction. Option to stay here or kick your right heel towards your butt, reach back, and maybe you grab the foot. Take a breath in and a breath out. Good. Gently release the foot if you have it. Hands circle down. Tuck the back toes under and lift off of your right knee. Take a breath in, look forward. Exhale, step your right foot to the outside of your right hand so you're in that malasana. Again, you can drop your seat down without any support, or you can choose a support like your 2 blocks. Knees are wide, toes out, heels in. Hands either to your chest, or if you want, you can place your hands on your belly. But visualize that cylinder. So as you inhale, the top and bottom draw down. Everything draws out to the sides. And as you exhale, the top and bottom of the cylinder float back up. Everything draws back in. Let's take 2 more cycles of breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Fingertips down to the mat. Lengthen your legs and heel toe your feet a little bit closer, about hips width distance apart. Let your head hang. Bend your knees. You can kind of sway a little bit from side to side. Then from here, keep the bend in the knees. Go slow as you roll up, stacking one vertebrae at a time on top of the next. Shoulders go up. Shoulders go down. Shoulders go forward, spreading wide, and shoulders go back. We're going to stay with the shoulders going forward and back again. So forward, backwards. Forward, backwards. Protraction, retraction. Spreading wide, drawing together. Do that 2 more times. Okay, so now we're going to translate this movement on the ground. So inhale, reach the arms overhead. Bend the knees. Exhale, release your fingertips down. Lift halfway as you inhale, so fingertips to your shins. Lengthen through the top of the head like you're headbutting something. Exhale, bend the knees. Plant your hands onto your blocks and lower your knees down one at a time. All right, so now we're going to, I'll give you 2 options. So you can do it again on the forearms if you feel like you're still trying to get the hang of that movement pattern, or you can move the blocks out of the way for right now and come onto your hands and knees. Well, first just start with the knees underneath your hips. So for this one, same idea as when you're standing and when you're on the forearms. Shoulder blades squeeze together, shoulder blades spread wide. Together, spreading wide. And notice I'm not flexing my spine as I do this. I'm keeping this just a separate movement in the shoulder blades, gliding along the back of my rib cage. And notice if you were to support your whole body weight, right? And maybe someone were to try to, take a piggyback ride on your back, then it'd probably be much more stable, right? When you push the ground away versus if you sink everything down. So that's the position that we want to maintain for when we come into that Bakasana, that crow pose. We're ready to go. All right. If you're getting the hang of that, you can walk your knees back, doing the same thing. If you're getting the hang of that, the hardest one, lift your knees off the floor. You're in that plank position. Retraction, protraction. Retraction, protraction. All right, so now let's add on a little bit more. So grab your 2 blocks. Again, you can take them underneath your hands, level 1 or level 2. Push the ground away, lift your hips up and back. Knees can be bent, or maybe because you have your hands on your blocks, it's a little easier to lower the heels down. Inhale, take your right leg up and back. Exhale, open your hip, draw the right knee out to the side, but try to press equally into both of your hands. Look forward, inhale. Exhale, slide forward into a plank, but draw the right knee as high up into your armpit as possible. Push the ground away, round the upper spine. You're basically in a half crow pose. Step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Inhale, reach your right arm up to the ceiling, rotating the chest open. Exhale, right hand down, step to the top of your mat. Move your blocks out of the way and heel toe your feet a little bit closer. Sit all the way down. Good. So as you lie down onto your back, we're going to do a little bit of work into the core. So grab your strap, lie all the way down. Hold your strap about shoulder width distance apart, straight up towards the ceiling. Imagine you're going to tear that strap apart, so actively press up and out. Start with your feet planted. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, curl your head up, draw your knees in, and try to loop the strap under the bottoms of the feet without touching your feet, and lengthen your legs to the ceiling. Unwind. Exhale, slowly reach the arms overhead, feet plant down, big breath in. Exhale, slowly lift back up with control. Try to loop the strap under the bottoms of the feet behind your knees and lengthen the legs. Inhale. Exhale. Keep going. Three more. I know, we're doing it together. Almost there. Two more. Notice we're working with the breath, right? Every time we inhale, we lengthen. Every time we exhale, we contract inward. Last one. Good. Let go of the strap. You can windshield wiper the legs from side to side. All right, so you can either rock up and down the length of your spine or roll to one side, but meet me in your chair pose. And you're going to try to stick your feet or stick your landing and come all the way up. So go ahead and find your way there. You might need to use a little bit of momentum. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Take a big breath in. Exhale, fold all the way down. Lift halfway as you inhale. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to your blocks. Again, level 1 or 2, push the hands down and step your feet back. Left side here. Left leg goes up, inhale. Exhale, bend the knee, open your hip, but press down equally into both of your hands. Look forward, inhale. Exhale, left knee to your left armpit, push down through your hands, round your spine like your cat pose, and then step your left foot to the outside of that left hand. Inhale, twist, left arm goes up. Exhale, step your right foot to the top of your mat. You're in your malasana. Heel toe your feet a little bit closer so it's a bit easier to sit to the ground. Arms forward, sit all the way back. Good, lie down. We're gonna work with the strap one more time. This time I'll give you an add-on to make things more challenging. So inhale, you're trying to press up and out. Look at your belly button and maybe you lengthen your legs out in front of you. Exhale, slowly ravel the strap under the bottoms of the feet behind your knees. Inhale, legs go up. Exhale, unravel. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, keep going. Good. If you find that you're losing that stability in your center, you're more than welcome to just take your feet, plant them back down as you transition. Last two. Last one. Let go of the strap. Windshield wiper the legs from side to side. I feel like we're very prepared. Go ahead and rock back up. Meet me in your chair pose. Again, you're more than welcome to roll to one side and then press up. Take a big breath in. Exhale, fold all the way down. Lift halfway as you inhale, lengthen out through the top of the head. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands, and step back. Lower the knees to the floor. Have a seat. All right, so the biggest challenges with Bakasana or crow pose is trying to get your body in a very compact position with control and with range. That's a hard thing to do, right? So using props to help us, there's no shame in the game. If we use props, we're essentially either bringing the floor closer to us or bringing our, body parts closer to one another. So in this case, bringing the thighs closer to the backs of the arms. So go ahead and grab your bolster, or if you don't have your bolster, grab your pillow. If your pillowcase is still on it, take the pillowcase off so it's not going to slide around all over the place. So we're essentially just going to use the bolster. It's squishy enough, but sturdy enough at the same time to where it's going to help support us. We're using it to connect the arms and the thighs. So you'll come into a crouch position and take the bolster to the lower thigh and the knee area. Then you'll take your upper arms to the back of that. So you're trying to squish into the bolster. So we're essentially creating more space so that we can actually connect our arms and our legs together. So take your hands to the floor and you want to push the ground away. Remember, your cat pose, that transition from down dog to your runner's lunge, same thing, right? Our legs are rotating out to a certain degree. We're really emphasizing that round in the spine and the spread of the shoulder blades. Look forward. If you look down, you'll go down. So look forward like you're driving. You're looking at the road out in front. Draw one heel towards your butt and maybe the other heel. You're trying to squish the bolster. If it starts to slide down, you can set it up again. But that's the thing when we're using these props is we want to make sure that we're stable, we're set up first, and then we can go into it. Let's try it one more time. Just see how it feels. Hands down, squish the bolster, lean forward, and see if you can maybe lift your feet off the ground. All right, so move the bolster to the side. That was one option to try that maybe makes crow pose a bit more accessible. Second option is if you're having a hard time getting the knees up higher to the arms. The last one was just making contact. Now we're trying to see if we're having a hard time bringing your knees to the upper arms, then the block might help to prop yourself higher. So you'll take your block to the lowest setting towards the back of your mat, and your hands are going to plant down to the mat. Make sure your hands are to the floor. Otherwise, if you're stepping on the block, especially one of those foam blocks, you might fall off of it, and you want to make sure we're stable first. So hands onto the floor, feet on the block. Crouch down like you're a bird, right? Crow pose or Bakasana. And this is your little bird perch. Notice already I have an advantage because my knees are higher up because I'm on a block. So my knees are up higher, which is great. Now, another thing that I hear is that you might get bruises on the backs of the arms. Instead of dumping all of your weight down, think about like you're trying to curl your thighs up towards your chest, just like when you were transitioning from your down dog to your runner's lunge. Push your hands down, look forward, round the spine. Draw your heels towards your butt, and you'll notice that you get that lift. And you, again, with the block, can bring the knees higher. Let's try it one more time. Push down, lean forward, and maybe your feet lift. Awesome. Lower your feet back down. Move the block off to the side. Let's cool the body down. Go ahead and swing your legs out in front of you. Grab your two blocks. And since we've been very curled up in the front of the body, we're going to open everything up. So grab one of your blocks, take it to the back of your mat, level 3, so you're a bit more propped up. If you find that's a little too high, you can drop it down to level 2. If you have the block to level 3 under your head, I'd recommend taking the block to level 2 along your spine, and you can take it the wider setting or the longer setting. Just make sure if you have it the longer setting that the end of it is right underneath your shoulder blades at your mid-upper back, basically right where the rib cage ends. Then, if you have the block under your head level 2, I'd recommend taking the block under your spine level 1. All right, so however you're setting it up, go ahead and organize that. Then plant your feet to the floor and slowly recline onto your spine. Again, make sure that the block, especially if it's the wider setting, I just find it's a little bit more stable this way. If you have the wider setting, it'll be right across your shoulder blades, and the other block will be supporting your skull. Before you get all comfortable and you straighten your legs out, make sure that your spine is lengthened. So especially if we're on these rigid blocks, your spine naturally might feel the need to kind of arch off of it, to not relax down onto it. So lift your butt off the floor, lengthen your tailbone towards your heels, and then lower it back down. You might notice a little bit of traction in your spine and maybe some resistance in your mid-upper back, but we're trying to create some length there. Arms come out wide. You can lengthen your legs, keep your feet planted, or bring the soles of the feet together. Find your breath in through the nose and out through your nose. 2 more cycles of breath. Good. Bring your palms together in front of your chest. Interlace your fingertips and reach your palms up and back. Nice big stretch across the chest. You can stretch your arms one at a time, opening through the sides of the body. Breath in. Exhale, slowly release. Take your arms out to the sides. Good. So it's kind of awkward coming out of this, but you can either rock yourself up or kind of press yourself up rather, or you can roll to one side. So for me, I like to just press up using my forearms just because it's a little easier than to move the blocks out of the way. And then you'll lie down on the right side of your body. Grab your bolster or your pillow, put it under your head. Reach both arms towards the right side of the room. Palms on top of one another. Reach your left arm forward. Keep your fingertips connected to the floor as you draw a rainbow or a half circle overhead. At a certain point, you'll get stuck with the palm facing down. So rotate your palm open. Now pause and take your left arm out wide. Instead of allowing your hips to roll open and coming into a twist more in the spine, try to keep your hips, knees, and ankles stacked on top of one another. And you'll probably notice the stretch is a little bit more prominent across the chest. Take your left hand to your left shoulder, slide that hand back to where you started. Let's take that 2 more times. Inhale. Hold on the exhale. Again, try not to move your hips. Left hand to left shoulder and go back to where you started. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Breath in. Exhale, left hand to left shoulder and go back to where you started. Good. Let's try the other side. So instead of turning my back to you, I'm going to just flip the other way. All right. So lie on the left side of your body, palms on top of one another. Reach your right arm forward until your fingertips touch the mat. Slide your fingertips overhead along the floor. Once you get to a certain point, you'll get stuck, right? So you'll need to rotate the palm up. Take the arms out wide, pause. Again, try not to move your hips, knees, or ankles so you get that isolation and stretch across the chest. And then take your left hand to your left shoulder, slide that hand across your chest, and go back to where you started. Go ahead and move through that 2 more times. Last one. Good. Move the blanket or rather the pillow or bolster out of the way. Come onto your back. Good. So plant your feet to the floor, lift your hips up, and move that bolster, or rather move the block under the back of your pelvis, the lowest and widest setting. So you're in a supported bridge. You can stay here, or maybe it feels good to lengthen your legs out along the mat. Maybe it feels good to reach the arms overhead. Good. So again, just opening through that front side of the body. We're here for 2 more cycles of breath. Good. Bend your knees, plant your feet to the floor. Lift your hips up just enough to move that block out of the way, and then lower your pelvis to the mat. Windshield wiper the legs from side to side. And then once you're ready, come into your Shavasana, your final rest. Hands on your belly or arms by your side. Close your eyes. Bring your awareness to your breath. What did you learn from your experience today on your mat? Not just about crow pose or Bakasana and the mechanics behind it, but how you interact with that, how you relate to what you're doing, what you're sensing, how you're thinking, how you're breathing. If you need a little bit more time, you can stay here. Otherwise, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circle the wrists and the ankles in one direction and the other. Stretch the arms overhead, lengthen your legs forward. And then hug your knees to your chest. Roll over to one side of your body and press yourself up into a comfortable seat. Turn to face the front, palms together in front of your chest, eyes closed. Breath in and breath out. I thank you for taking this time to connect to your body and your practice in this way, to challenge yourself strength-wise, but also to challenge your mind and mental flexibility, being patient with the process along the way. Namaste.